Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's your brother Nafis Abu Zayd here with my sahib and co-host
Isa Abu Isa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, we're in the blessed month of Ramadan and we're still continuing with our series, the cult characteristics amongst the Salafis in the West. Alhamdulillah, we reached the chapter 4, which is a little lengthy, so we're going to do chapter 4 part 1, and then inshallah ta'ala the next time we'll do chapter 4 part 2. This particular chapter deals with programming tactics and behavioral patterns. Programming tactics and behavioral patterns.
It says, programming tactics and behavioral patterns, they claim to have the truth. Alone. They say we believe in what was sent down to us, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 91.
So, try to get a little understanding some of the characteristics from those who, participate in cults and as well as Hizbiyah, that they use certain tactics or programs, whether it be from statements, whether it be from behavioral patterns, these things that they use to program the people to stick to only one
brand,
or to one group, or to what their agenda is. So things that they do, for example, the first thing that the author brings is they claim to have the truth alone. And this is not a minor feat. This is something that is real serious. Some of the things that come along the mind that have been circulating throughout the years is statements like, we are upon clarity. What is intended by this statement, we are upon clarity? Can someone make the claim that we are upon clarity absolute, itlaqan? Can someone use and explain that they're upon clarity when they're responding to something or someone that is speaking that's not upon clarity? Can they use it? Or is it absolute slogan where we say that we know for sure that we are upon clarity? That's something that, inshallah ta'ala, you will check with the ulama and you will find some shocking information as opposed to utilizing that word and that content that we are upon clarity as to with absolute.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or you're upon clarity when a situation comes up and a person is upon some innovation or upon some mistake and you have the correct answer. You know what I'm saying? That's different than saying I'm always upon clarity.
Exactly. Or I know this 100% me and me.
Exactly.
This is something that's very, you gotta care for. Another thing, the tactic that is used and circulating is stick to those who are known. Stick to those who are known. This statement, as we should see inshallah ta'ala, this statement, stick to those who are known, has like a hidden connotation to it. Who are those who are known? And what do you intend by using stick to those who are known?
Exactly.
Are you talking about the trustworthy scholars who have been sharing their knowledge and their information with the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that the Ummah of Muhammad agree upon their trustworthiness and their strength and knowledge and stuff like that in their actions? Are you talking about that, or are you talking about a specific group of people from amongst a specific group of people? That's something that you definitely want to look at. These are tactics that have been used over the years. Stick to those who are known, as to oppose anyone else who might claim or affiliate to the same thing that you claim to affiliate to. You don't take from them.
Is that exactly what it is? Because what it does is it's actually a scare tactic. Okay. It's a programming tactic, because if you program people with that and saying that anybody, if you don't know somebody or you don't know their name, or you do know them but they're not part of that particular group or brand, then they're not considered to be known. Even if you know their name, you grew up with them, you live in the same neighborhood with them. When they say not known, it doesn't necessarily mean they don't know a person's name or you don't know anything about them. A lot of times they intend that they're not part of a particular brand or a particular group. That makes them not known.
So we can't vouch for them, nor will we vouch for them, because we don't know their agenda or if they're in a total agreement with us and what we're pushing. So stick to those who are known. You know us, so therefore we might know of them. We might know they might come from this place, as Brother Isa just asserted. However, like we said, we don't know if they're in 100% agreement with us. Another statement that has been circulated that goes along with that they claim the truth alone is they use statements such as, who warned against Ahlul Bid'ah? You will never hear the ulama from both past presents speak in such a context. Yes, they do warn from Ahlul Bid'ah because it's their duty. It's the duty upon every caller and it's a duty upon every Muslim to some degree, according to their ability, to warn against bid'ah, warn against shirk, warn against kufr. Actually, Sheikh Muqbil Ibn Hadi al-Wadi'i, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, he said that everyone who teaches Tawheed is in reality warning against shirk. Everyone who teaches Sunnah is in reality warning against bid'ah.
No.
You know what I mean? The opposite is actually being warned against, because you're teaching that which is opposed to that. So it's important to understand that just because a person is not rallying and saying such and such is innovation or such and such is an innovator, that don't mean if he's saying Allah Jalla wa Ala is one, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is deserving to be worshipped only alone, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have the most perfect and beautiful attributes and names, and this is how Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah understand it. In reality, he is warned against those particular things that go against Tawheed. He is warned against shirk without even happen to, mentioning so forth and so on. And he's warned against innovation when he teaches the Sunnah. Something very important. Also, another tactic that is used, and just to go back on that again, who warned against Ahlul Bidah? We don't want to try to fall too arrogant. The ulama don't use their deeds that they do. They hope that Allah Jalla wa Ala accept them. And I remember Sheikh Muhammad Imam, I might get in trouble for using the Sheikh, alhamdulillah, but Sheikh Muhammad Imam, one of Sheikh Muqbil's students in Yemen, Hafidullah, he has a nice book that he dealt with the issue of Jahr wa Ta'dil. And I remember him mentioning there about the etiquettes of the person who makes jar, and the etiquettes of Ahlul Sunnah when they warn against the people of innovation. They do so out of the bab of nasiha and the bab of defending the deen, but they don't do it with what is injustice involved. They say that which is just. They don't do that which is injustice involved, meaning they don't go overboard. Just because a person falls into an act of innovation or becomes an innovator doesn't mean we go overboard to the point we start calling him this or calling him that, and striving to him something that he didn't say.
SubhanAllah.
We don't do that. You have to be just. And I remember Sheikh Rabi'a also in his book that he dealt with the warning and criticizing. He also mentioned that too, where he brought the verse that comes in Surah Al-Isra that they set up the scales of bounds.
No, exactly.
So when you're dealing with your opponent and those who oppose the Sunnah, that you're still supposed to be just even in that. So it's very important that's why Sheikh Fawzan, Hafidullah, he said that the people who warn against bid'ah are the people who are specialized in that, meaning the ulama. They are the ones. Why? Because they have hikmah, they have the right understanding and how to approach the situation. They have the right amount of knowledge to deal with the information. And this is why it's extremely important to stick to those who are trustworthy and are unanimously agreed upon about the ummah that they are trustworthy. The next statement is the people are known with the people. All of this go back to what we're saying. They claim to have the truth alone. All of this go back. The people are known with the people. Yes, the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have said that the person is upon the religion of his friend. All right, that the one who has a close associate, and if he's upon some fisk and he's upon certain things that is not correct, then naturally, if he's righteous, he wouldn't mix with those who are unrighteous. Naturally, if he's upon that which is correct, he wouldn't mix with those who are upon that which is incorrect. So, the Prophet ﷺ said a person is upon the religion of his Khalil. Al-Dini Khalil. He's upon the religion of his Khalil. Right? Why? Because normally, as Sheikh Islam Taymiyyah mentioned, that the Khalil, it takes. The character is a thief. It takes from one another. So you're influenced by those who you are with.
Exactly. So
as Allah Jalla wa Ala tell us, innakum ma'ahum minhum. Therefore you are amongst them. Therefore you are amongst them. And the Prophet ﷺ tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum. Whoever imitates the people, then rather he's from them. And we know that these statements are true. However, what is it understood that the people are known with the people? Do that mean that it's in no way or circumstances that we cannot go out and give dawah? That we can call others to Islam and to the proper way of understanding Islam? Like the Sunnah? Do that mean we cannot mix with them whatsoever? Absolutely.
How does it spread then?
Do that mean that just because a person, because as the ulama explained, a person can be upon the Sunnah and he can live in Timbuktu.
Exactly. On top of a mountain.
They are together, even if they're not in the same vicinity, in the same relations. Do that mean just because a person who's teaching from Ahlul Sunnah or Jama'ah and teaching the creed of Ahlul Sunnah or Jama'ah, and he's not in the same vicinity or the same masjid or the same, same facility that you may be in?
No.
Right? that nor does he come up there, nor does he deal with you, or he goes there, or he comes to your facility, like that. That don't mean that there's separation. Actually, if y'all call into the same thing, y'all are actually together. Y'all are actually together.
No.
However, the people are known with the people. What is meant by that? Some of the things that one can think is that the people who agree and think like this, they're going to behave and act and interact with one another. And
but you could easily do this, though. I mean, you look at the manhaj of those who are not Muslims, those who disbelieve. You need boogeymen to keep this thing going. Like you're saying, that people are known by the people. You can use this statement in an unjust way, even though the statement is just. You can easily create a boogeyman, and anybody who's with that boogeyman is now with the people of bid'ah or the people of sin. You create one, and you find somebody who doesn't agree with you 100%, and you turn them into this boogeyman. The people of disbelief have done it with the terrorist organization. They have done it with different groups, and then they make a boogeyman because they need a boogeyman. So we have created a mubtadi'. We've created the innovative boogeyman, and then we apply it to other people who we don't like, who are not 100% agreeing with us, and anybody who circles around them is part of that boogeyman now, that construction of it being a boogeyman. And this is what you see happening.
Also, you see people being tested. Well, if so-and-so really was upon that, then you would see so-and-so at our facilities.
No.
If so-and-so really was upon the truth, then you would see that he would interact with us. Because we're here on the ground. We are warning against bid'ah. We are calling to the sunnah. Then the people are known by the people. And sometimes you got to be real. You have to be real careful with that, because these things, like we said, the brother did a real extensive research. These things fall into certain characteristic traits of Hizbiyah as well as cults. And we're not saying that for those who are listening to the videos, we're not pinpointing anyone per se. So, inshallah ta'ala, the fact that you yourself can imagine and picture someone that fit these traits, then that's something that you have to come in terms in reality with yourself. You can't say that, I was listening to the brothers and it seemed as the brothers is talking about a certain group of people. We haven't mentioned any names. We mentioned characteristics. And it's okay to warn against something and to expose something by its characteristics, inshallah ta'ala, without mentioning any names, because you still want to wake the Muslims up.
Exactly.
You still want to wake the Muslims up. Tayyip, another thing is, take only from reliable translators. Now this goes back to stick to those who are only known. Take only from those who are reliable translators. And we talked about this in a separate talk. Anyway, dealing with that, what is intended by this statement. No doubt you definitely want to safeguard yourself. You just want to take from anything, because a lot of information out there is not good information. So you want to be able to decipher between that. We're not saying that, but we're just saying what is the tactic that is used. So just to show you the little example of Sheikh Ubaid al-Jabari, Hafidhullah, he was asked a question. And we're going to play the question so that you can hear it, inshallah. And this goes back to what we were saying about take only from reliable translators. Listen what the Sheikh said. And I want you to see how the ulama, they move a little bit different.
أحسن الله إليكم. وهذا سائل يقول هل يجوز الاستماع إلى الدعاة المجهولين الذين لم يتبين لنا حالهم ولم نسمع من العلماء فيهم جرحا ولا.
So the questioner asked, he said, أحسن الله عليكم. After praising and sending, a dua, making a dua for the Sheikh, he said, can a person listen to a caller who is unknown? Right? He is unknown, and his condition is not known to us. His affair is not clarified to us, and nor have we heard any of the scholars make a praise or dispraise of him.
No.
Can we listen to him? And then he continues.
أحسن الله إليكم. وهذا سائل يقول هل يجوز الاستماع إلى الدعاة المجهولين الذين لم يتبين لنا حالهم ولم نسمع من العلماء فيهم جرحا ولا تعديلا وجزاكم الله خيرا.
الدعاة المجهولين؟
نعم، دعاة
يدخلون في عموم المسلمين. نعم.
يقول هل يجوز الاستماع إليهم؟
الاستماع؟
نعم، إلى مواعظهم وأشرطتهم ودروسهم.
So then he went on further to say that is it permissible to listen to their talks, listen to their admonitions, listen to their durus, their lessons, their classes. Can we listen to these people? Number one, remember, they are unknown callers. They're not known people that are known. They are unknown callers. Number two, their situation and their position and where they study and where they came from is not known to us. Number 3, we don't know of anyone who made jar or
Ta'dil.
Anyone who made dispraise or praise of him. Can we still listen to this particular person? I want you to listen to the answer of Sheikh Ubaid al-Jabr.
إلى الدعاة المجهولين الذين لم يتبين لنا حالهم ولم نسمع من العلماء فيهم جرحا ولا تعديلا وجزاكم الله خيرا.
المجهولين؟
نعم، دعاة
يدخلون في عموم المسلمين. نعم.
يقول هل يجوز الاستماع إليهم؟
الاستماع؟
نعم، إلى مواعظهم وأشرطتهم ودروسهم.
إذا كانت الموعظة من ما
So the Sheikh goes on, he said, either kana mu'idha. He said, if the mu'idha, the admonition, or the stuff that they're talking about, if their words is based upon and consists of ayats, all right, and authentic hadith, okay, and is in alignment and agreement with that which is the truth, then he said, فَلَا بَأْسْ بِهِ. Then there is no problem.
Subhanallah.
There is no problem. Now let's bring this to real time. Let's look at our time now. We are told that we can't listen. This is not what the Sheikh said. We are told that we can't listen to, number 1, people we don't know. We don't know if they have teachers or anything like that. We can't take from them, especially their translations, their mu'idha. This is what we're taught. This is what projected. Stick to those who are only known. Take from only reliable translators. But Sheikh Ubaid just answered the question that no, if what he's teaching is inconsistent in alignment with that of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah,
no
benefit.
No, Sheikh Ubaid is known to be trustworthy and be amongst the scholars to all of us.
Benefit. So this is the point we're trying to say. These statements might be true, but then they might be used for a different agenda. So you have to be careful. This all go back to what the brother mentioned. Number 1, they claim to have the truth alone, that only they're upon the truth, and only their way is right. And last but not least, I want to mention 2 more things that go along with this, is restricting teaching to only a certain group of books. And this is important also, that normally you will find, even as the brother mentioned about who? What group that you said for the Tabligh?
Like the Tabligh, they stick to all the Salihin. Even though the book is true.
The book is true.
Benefit from it.
But they use that book as a tactic to program the people to push their objective. Same thing if you look at a lot of books that people restrict themselves to. And one of those famous books that we hear a lot, and we're not attacking nobody, we're just attacking the characteristics. We're not saying that everybody that pick up this book is on that minhaj. Okay, we're just saying that, explaining to you that this is what's going on. Sharh Sunnah. Okay, this particular book here is a book that is, people are tested with this book. Testing people by way of this book. There have been callers who made statements that you can find that if a masjid or a group of people is upon the sunnah, if you find that they have no problem with this particular book. If they have a problem with this book, it indicates what they're on. Unknown to a lot of us is, first of all, that this particular book needs to be studied with a scholar. Secondly, not many of the ulama teaches this book. Thirdly, Sheikh Ahmed al-Najmi, he actually have an issue with a position held by the author in this particular book. And you can refer back to his works. He actually cleared for Sheikh Ahmed al-Najmi, which is a well-known scholar, rahimahullah, and the people respect him, and he's trustworthy for his knowledge, and adherence and sticking to the sunnah closely. He also mentioned some statements in regards to the position that was mentioned in this particular book by the author. We're not speaking bad about the book or the author,
exactly,
because no book is free from error except that the book of Allah.
The book of Allah.
However, like we said, we have to be careful what is our agenda when we just teach this particular book, because there's a certain mindset that comes from this particular book that we see that we are living in. That many people get isolated statements and they start applying these hukms and rulings on everybody. Yeah, that's a muqtadir. He don't go to certain masjid, or he don't take from unknown people, or he don't deal with them, or he move with them. That's a muqtadir. And then we find it to become a contradiction, because then when we look into the works and the lives of the ulama today, and we start seeing like the likes of Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Rizid al-Qadawi, Eid al-Qarni. And then we start saying to ourselves, well, hey, ain't Eid al-Qarni a misguided caller?
Yeah.
Yes, why is Sheikh visiting? So now it's like, okay, we have to go back and say, no, we can't apply that on the Sheikh. Now we have to, so then it becomes double standard. See it? So you want to be careful with these type of ploys and tactics, and hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be free and come back to the true sunnah, which is understanding the Quran and the Sunnah the way that the Sahabas understood it and practiced it.
Exactly.
He brings a verse in Surah Baqarah. The brother, inshallah ta'ala, is going to elaborate on that.
He says, they say we believe in what has been sent down to us. Surah Baqarah, verse 91. Holding individual fanaticism and zealotry for one's party and group, whether they were upon truth or falsehood.
You had a tafsir for this verse.
Yeah. It just goes along with that.
No.
We must according to them. So Allah revealed what He did concerning that matter. In the tafsir, Imam Sa'di about this verse, the particular verse, Surah Baqarah, verse 91, says, "Qalu nu'minu bima unzila ilayna wa yakfuruna bima wara'ahu ay bima sawahu min al-kutub ma'anna an yu'min bima wajib Allah wajib mutlaqan ma anzala Allah mutlaqan sawa anzala alayhim aw ghayrihim hadha huwa iman nafi' wa iman bima anzala Allah jami' rusul." And the Sheikh, he's saying that, and he goes with this zealotry. In fact, the reason that the Jews, he says that we say we believe in what was sent down to us, and we disbelieve what came after it. And it said, meaning the other books that wasn't with them, they didn't believe. Even though it was obligatory upon the Jews and the Christians to, whatever Allah revealed, to follow it and to believe it. Even if it wasn't sent down to them per se. Even if it wasn't from them specifically. And it doesn't matter if it was sent down to them or other than them. He said this is the iman that's beneficial, and what Allah sent down to all of His messengers. And the reason I brought this tafsir, because the brother said holding individuals fanaticism, zealotry for one's party and group, whether they were upon truth or falsehood. Because a lot of times you'll talk to an individual and you'll really give them clear vision about what's happening. You'll tell him, give him ayats and hadith, and he will actually go against the ayat in the hadith and say Falan said, and said, well, I don't, so-and-so didn't say that. I didn't hear that in the khutbah. So-and-so didn't say that in the class. And he will stick and have zealotry and have fanaticism to a statement of beginning students of knowledge over the statement of Allah and His Messenger. I've seen it, and I've over and over again. And even though it's the truth what's being said to them, but being as though it didn't come from a particular person or particular group or particular masjid, they won't accept it. Just like the Jews didn't accept the Prophet Islam because he wasn't from Bani Ishaq, because he wasn't from the children of Ishaq. He was from Bani Ismail. So out of jealousy, they didn't accept him, even though they went to Arabia waiting for that messenger to come. And it said when it came to them, bima amilu kafaru bi. When it came to them, what they knew was the truth, they disbelieved in it from jealousy, from hasid.
Some examples of fanaticism towards a group or party is, like the brother mentioned, and this is some of the things that the ulama have to censor about blind following a madhab. It's okay and permissible to take a madhab, but it becomes impermissible when you blind follow the madhab, the statement of the person of the madhab, over the statement of the Prophet ﷺ or the ayats. And this is sometimes we don't know that we're doing this, but knowingly you're actually doing this when someone brings you something from the Prophet ﷺ or an ayah from the Book of Allah, with the understanding of those specialized in that field to explain both of those texts. And then you listen to that and you still say, well, I hear that, but
exactly.
Well, the way you got to be, we can't just say we're going to apply that to the people of innovation. Sometimes you need to understand that innovation is born off of good intentions, and people don't realize that. They don't understand that innovation starts from a good intention. As the hadith is well known, the hadith of Musa al-Ashari, when he seen a group of people with the pebbles and the stones, and he went to go get the Abdullah Mas'ud. And what did he say in there? Abdullah Mas'ud said that when they said that what we're doing, we intend by this act good. We want it higher. You'll need to be higher. That's what we wanted. He said, how many people intend good, but it never reaches them? Right? How many people intend the good? So number one, the person upon innovation had to understand that it's easy to go off. This is why Allah Jalla wa Ala countlessly over and over tells the people of the book, La taqlu fi dinikum. Do not go gulu. Do not go to the extreme in your religion. Do not go to the extreme in your religion. Stick to the balanced course. And the only balanced course is call Allah, call Rasulullah, ala fahma salam.
Nice.
That's the only balanced course. Now we have to make sure, are we sticking to what Allah said and His Messenger said, and upon the understanding of the Salaf? Did the Salaf understand that act to be that way? Or do we understand that by a well-known da'i, beginning student knowledge? We hear people make statements like this, and it's a shame because people that made statements about du'at, that they are the best of the Salafiyin. A statement such as this, like, alhamdulillah, there's nothing wrong asserting the fact that you want to praise a person and you say, okay, I know this person to be diligent upon the sunnah. This is what I witnessed from him. Okay, this is what you know. But when you say a person is the best of the Salafiyin, and this person is not even on the level of a scholar or put forth any of those actions, you just skip past the ulama. And you go strictly to a person. It's like me saying, Isa, I know him to be a man of Jannah. First and foremost, what's wrong with that statement? It's a lot wrong with that statement.
Mm-hmm.
How can I assert the fact that who's going to be in Jannah? Even though I love Isa, don't mean I can make a statement like that. Nor can I say that Isa is the best of the Salafiyin. Yeah. I can't make a statement about him, he's the best of the Salafiyin. No, I know him to be diligent. I can, say things like that. That is not going beyond his station, not puffing him up or taking him away.
Well, the best of the Salafiyin, the messengers and the prophets. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah.
But it seems like that's being lost.
Yeah.
That's really being lost.
And what about the statement if you say that if you don't love a certain guy, you're not a person of the Sunnah? I mean, we can't really be serious when in a time we have people like Sheikh Salih Fawzan around. We have people like Sheikh Luhidan and Sheikh different Sheikh of the Kibar Ulama around right now, and they don't allow us to make statements like that about them.
Yeah. So how much more so when you find others from amongst the smaller students of knowledge or the smaller group of people talking about themselves like that, red mountain of knowledge, and then come back and apply those statements to themselves. First and foremost, these scholars in mountain of knowledge that were mentioned in their biographies, notice the people that praised them wasn't themselves. It was always other scholars amongst their peers that praised them and never seen the likes of him. They would never say that he said this about himself.
No, they didn't.
That's number one. Secondly, this understanding of testing people, and we'll get to that. The brother going to talk about that, testing people by way of people. These are tactics that have been used for behavior patterns, and it's actually a lot of people are really stuck on this, and they can't get past it, inshallah ta'ala.
Sheikh Ahmed al-Najmi, rahimahullah, said about this point, about the whole individual's fanaticism and zealotry. A person being fanatical for his group and aiding them, even though they are wrong, is not permissible. We don't cover up the wrong of somebody who's with us. We deal with the wrong.
And we stop there. The Prophet ﷺ said about a sin. What did he say about the sin? He said that the sin is just something that you feel that you want to hide it, uncomfortable, and you want to conceal it. That's how you know it in your heart that it's a sin. You know that it's something wrong. Unlike something that is good, that is a righteous deed.
You want it to be known.
Likewise, if you know that the group or the party that you associate with and the people that you take from, if you know that it rubbed you the wrong way in the way that person dealt with that issue or that way that person what he said or how he dealt with it, then you can't be saying to yourself, blinding yourself, saying, that's correct.
It's permissible.
I'm still going to stick by it. No,
you got to say something.
That don't seem right. Can I get some evidence for that? Do you have any proof to substantiate your actions?
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with free thought. There's nothing wrong with asking these particular questions.
It's only permissible to stand up for the truth, although that person may be an outsider and your close relative are on falsehood. You must help the one far from you against the person dear to you by saying you are wrong.
This is what I love about the deen. It don't allow anyone to come in and make a group.
No.
The deen don't allow no one to come in to make a group. No one can come in and say, you know what, I am the leader and follow everything that I'm saying is absolute truth. No one.
SubhanAllah.
Allah Jalla wa Ala say, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu khawwamina bil qisti wa shuhada'a lillahi aw lianfusikum aw wal walidaini wal aqrabin. Allah say, oh, you who believe, stand out for justice even if it be against yourselves. For Allah, even if it be against yourselves, against your parents, against those who are your close relative, stand out for justice. You have to be just, even with everyone, even with yourself. So you can't sit there and say, you know what, I'm just going to follow these particular people, and I'm just going to,
exactly,
overlook all the things that they did wrong, and just say, you know what, they called to the Sunnah though. They weren't against Ahlul Bidah though.
SubhanAllah. So you're saying to me that it's not permissible in Islam to, if one of us did something, right, and we don't advise it, we cover it up, but somebody else outside of us did the same thing and we refuted them and brought it out and exposed it and handled it harshly and differently. That's not permissible in Islam. Everybody has to get dealt with the same, you see.
Yeah, everyone has to get dealt with
exactly.
the same. Allah Jalla wa Ala ordered everyone be dealt with the same. Henceforth, the Prophet ﷺ said what? If Fatima bint Muhammad, the daughter of Muhammad, was to steal something, what did he say you would do?
You cut her hand off.
You would cut her hand off. Showing you that the hukm of the Sharia applies to everyone.
SubhanAllah.
There's no favoritism. Inshallah.
They claim to follow the Salaf, while in fact they openly oppose and contradict them. Sheikh Zayd al-Madkhali rahimahullah said, this applies to every innovator and misguided person who claims the call of Islam and doesn't establish it clearly with actions. In fact, his deeds and actions are in opposition to his speech. This is among the issues of Jahiliyyah and the methodology of the hypocrites. Peer pressure. It is not uncommon to feel uncomfortable in a situation where our opinions and beliefs are not the same as others in our group. Do we conform or do we hold our own? Is it possible that we might just conform simply because we don't think they'll ever see our point since the odds are so stacked against us? To grasp a more vivid understanding about the dangers of peer pressure, reflect on the story of Abu Talib on his deathbed. He was invited to Islam, but he refused after Abu Jahl and Abdullah ibn Umayyah said, "O Abu Talib, will you leave the religion of Abdul Muttalib?" Those two kept mounting that pressure on him until his final words were, "I am on the religion of Abdul Muttalib."
There are several things I want to mention, and hopefully y'all probably can relate. How many sisters feel peer pressure in terms of the way that they have to cover, that they have to wear all black? They go to a certain masjid or they go to a certain vicinity and they're around a group of sisters. They feel the pressure from the other sisters in terms of, even if it's something right, you still shouldn't have to feel like you're being bullied into that situation or you're being bombarded. Another thing, how many people listen to a certain group of people because it's the pressure that they're getting from everyone else. Their heart might gravitate towards a certain speaker or a certain caller, and they might like listening to that person. But if they mention it to a group of other people that they respect, then they might get a lot of slack that comes along with it. So then they just rather forgo it altogether, and because of the peer pressure, and to say, you know what, this is all I pump, this is all I pit. A lot of people does this. Yeah. You know, I'm going to share only this and share only that. You look on their pages, and then they share only well-known people, quote unquote, that's acceptable to their people that they respect. But then it's like, okay,
they sneak and listen to other people.
They sneak and listen to other people. You know what I mean? These are peer pressure. Peer pressure, you know, can definitely have a very bad influence. And Islam defends everyone, and it gives everyone a way to defend themselves, because the only person that you have to worry about following absolutely is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if you make that your criteria, then it don't matter who rallying for this or who rallying for that. Did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that? Did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam do it? Did he have knowledge of that situation happening? Was he silent about it? Did he move this way? Did he move that way? That's who should be the one that you take absolutely as your guide, not a caller. Even if the caller is only based on his adherence to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, we're only listening to you because of your adherence to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how you understood it from that. If we don't see that from you, then we're going to go right back to who? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a safeguard.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have to be pressured.
Exactly.
You don't have to feel pressure, but you feel pressure now when you want to look and move about how the society is, because you're worrying about how others are going to view you, and you forgot what your main focus should have been. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam
says Hizbi groups only solicit money for their projects. There's no cooperation or mention for any project outside of theirs. The cooperation that Islam orders is abandoned. Sheikh Muqbil rahimahullah said, Allah speaks about cooperation in Islam. He says, help you one another in al-birr wa at-taqwa, righteousness and piety, but do not help one another in sin and transgression. Surah Ma'idah verse 2.
This is important. This verse, وَتَعَوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى, the ulama, they have mentioned a lot of benefits, even to the point that Sheikh Uthaymeen actually used the verse in a way to show that a person who was selling leggings or jeans to females, you have a clothing store, and you see that the female, she came in with a pair of jeans on, not a hijab, anything like that. Exactly. So you already have inkling or knowledge what she's going to wear. She's going to wear that outside.
Exactly.
And that's how she's going to wear it. So he used the verse, وَتَعَوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Help one another upon righteousness and bir, and do not help in taqwa, and do not help one another upon sin and transgression. And this even applied to a person who's a non-believer, as Shaykh Uthaymeen viewed that. And that was his ijtihad. I mean, Allah reward him for that. Also, in terms of, helping one another, we see that a lot of people, when it comes to cooperation, we shouldn't only be focusing on the project at hand that we are engrossed in.
Exactly.
All of our brothers, and this is the thing about Muslim brotherhood, not the fake Muslim brotherhood, not the Ikhwani Muslimin. I'm talking about the true Muslim brotherhood. the Muslim Brotherhood that Islam actually propagates, the Muslim Brotherhood that the Sahabas had amongst themselves, the Tabi'een had amongst themselves. That brotherhood doesn't allow for you to see someone that you know that is diligent and clinging upon the Sunnah struggle in any affair, and you have a means to aid.
So now you got to get behind.
You can bring so many narrations, so many statements, so many ayats that shows the importance and the obligations of aiding your brother and shielding your brother and protecting him and so forth. But this is not the time or place for that. But the point we're trying to mention is that the groups, normally what they do is they focus only on their projects. And they even go to the point that they won't even endorse the project, not from a money standpoint, but they won't even speak good of it.
Refute it.
Someone to come to them and say, well, I don't know about them. Stick to only what's known. It happened multiple times. We have many people who embarked upon projects such as the school that was down there that she was working.
SubhanAllah.
That had a school, and there was another sister who had. She was from West Philly. She didn't use the term Salafiyya in the way that we use it, such as calling ourselves Salafi, but she believed that it was obligatory to follow that of the understanding.
She did, and she came around the Salafis to get information, to get books and stuff like that.
But however, she wasn't able. They wouldn't cooperate with her.
No, they wouldn't.
And these such things like this is not really good. We don't want to have no bad stigma whatsoever from the deen, because the Prophet ﷺ character was impeccable when he said, "Innama bu'ithtu li utimma akhlaq." Really, I only been sent to complete or perfect the character, and character says a lot about a person, even to the point that the Prophet ﷺ also was reported to have said that a person who's, when he's in his grave, that if he have good character, it will be a good standing for him, that the people would know him. You can normally tell about the circumstance of a person if how the people speak about him. A person passed away, you know what I mean? If you have good character, so we want to try to stick with akhlaq. That is a part of minhaj, so that you know.
It is.
Akhlaq is a part of minhaj.
Because it's mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah.
mashallah.
And also, like for brothers, say brothers have an election. If you can't make it physically, then maybe you can help it financially. If you can't help it financially, then at least make dua for the project. Or mention it in a good light. Or tell others that it's going on. I mean, it's so many ways you can help one another upon piety and righteousness. May Allah help us. This means that you help every Muslim you can, regardless if he is with you or not. For example, if you are the minister of religious affairs and a Muslim comes to you requiring assistance, you wouldn't say, I only help those in my group. I only help the people in my group build and furnish masjids. This kind of person only offers support to those in his hizb.
Even if you don't know that this is a hizb. When you have this type of mentality and you move in this type of way, that's a hizb. Even the sheikh is calling it that. It's understood to be in his, because all you're doing is supporting your party. When you're supposed to support the Muslims. Allah Jalla wa'ala said, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ.
No.
The believers are only brothers. The believers are only brothers.
SubhanAllah. Groups reject the truth from non-members based on personal issues. In the ayat in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 113, the Jews say that the Christians follow nothing or are not on the right religion. And the Christians say that the Jews follow nothing or are not on the right religion. But both the Jews and the Christians reject the truth from each other based on their feelings. This is common today among many groups that refuse to accept facts or reality from people they don't like or have a personal grudge against.
And I'm gonna let the cat out the bag on this one. I gotta let the cat out the bag. Many of you might be shocked, and I challenge any of you. If you're doing an investigation, a full investigation, most of the squabbles that you find, the people right now that clings to the Dawat al-Salafiyya here in the West, Philadelphia, and abroad and beyond, you'll be shocked that most of it is personal. Most of the areas is personal. It's not deen. It's not deen-related issues.
They made it manhaj.
They took it and applied it. Most you will find that most people who are at odds with one another, they used to be together. They used to do events together. They used to be close friends. They used to be colleagues. They used to be classmates. They used to study with one another. But then all of a sudden, as Allah Jalla wa'ala tells us about the characteristics of the Jews, and Allah told us وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ تَلَفُوا, right? Do not be like those who tafarraqu. Do not be like those who differ and divide min ba'di ma ja'at to after the clear evidence came to them. So you will find that many of them take their characteristics. Also, Allah Jalla wa'ala tells in Surah Ali Imran that don't be like those who they only after the knowledge came to them, they have hatred and animosity for one another. After the knowledge reached a certain group of people, they behave a certain way. They started smelling themselves for lack of better words. And it's like, okay, well, you can't tell me nothing. I know this issue, and then they started going at odds with one another. But they was just together. They were just friends. So Allah Jalla wa Ala is actually, he's censoring the Jews when he said, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودَ لِلنَّصَارَ لَيْسَ عَلَى شَيْءٍ. When the Jews say to the Nasaras, the Christians, you're not upon nothing. But look what Allah say at the end. وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَ لِلْيَهُودَ لَيْسَ عَلَى شَيْءٍ. And the Christians say to the Jews the same thing, but وَهُمْ يَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ. But they study the same book. They recite from the same book. It's not possible that if you reciting from the same book that you having these issues that you're saying you having unless it's based off of Hawa, personal
issues and desires.
How we all claiming the same book, reading from the same book, taking from the same scholars, but we're different.
Mentioning the same scholars, the books are the same scholars and everything.
And exactly, the same explanations. And we're still different. It gotta be personal. You can't say to yourself, well, that's dini, that's deen, that's from the religion. No, that's not from the religion, it's personal. If it's from the religion requires us to put that down and put our personal things aside and let's work and move forward.
And the proof is that there's 3 principles of the Sunnah, or you want to say Salafiyya, any words you want to use, they're all synonymous. Worshiping Allah alone without partners, obeying those in authority, I mean the Muslim rulers in authority, not making khuruj on them, and warning against bid'ah and its people. Most of these masajid that's calling themselves Salafi are practicing at least these 3 principles, which have branch issues. It's not the conversation for that. But so we all worshiping Allah, inshallah, sincerely, hopefully, inshallah, we all worshiping Allah sincerely. When issues of protesting came up and making khuruj on the governments, the Arab Spring, and what's happening in America, most of the masjids that claim Salafi all said the same thing. When bid'ah comes up, these masjids, these places are being built like on Broad and Glenwood, which is almost finished, right? Up here on Broad and Glenwood, the Ahmadiyya movement saying there's another messenger after the Prophet ﷺ, and Isa is dead and he's not coming back, and these statements. All of us say the same thing concerning them. But why we still are bickering one another? Because it's personal. It has nothing to do with religion. It's personal, and it's about gathering forces and being having a certain type of brand or a certain type of control mechanism over the populace. That's all it's ever been about. Because if you look at the principles, everybody's trying to stick to those principles. And when these things come up, everybody's saying the same scholars said this, that, and the third about these particular issues. Everybody's saying the same exact thing, but we still can't even get in the same room together.
In the past, there was a certain da'i, a certain student that graduated from Medina that had a real strong personality. And alhamdulillah, he was one who had an effect on the people. And he came here to Philadelphia, he taught, and so forth. But this particular da'i, he felt into something where as though he wanted to set up a mirror just for the Americans in the West, and he wanted to support this position that that there should be one leader for the Muslim Americans, the American Muslims in the West, and that they should return back to him. This issue was a big issue during the time when he felt into this, and the brothers who was around, they went back and reported to the ulama, and they dealt with this in that way, and we can understand where he was coming from with that. Then we found out later that the same group that was a remnant from that and explained that these brothers that was around, they came up with something where as though that, we are the ones that you should check back with if you want to give dawah here in the West.
Isn't it the same thing?
It's the same thing, but I'm not trying to attack the point. The point I'm trying to say is that the take on that concept, period, that you think that for a reason that someone have to check in with you. This is what you talk about, the control mechanism.
Exactly.
Let's go back to that control mechanism, whereas though you self-appoint yourself to be the authority on someone's Salafiyya. I'll give you another thing about not only just peer pressure that we talked about, but a brother came to me yesterday, and he mentioned to me that our beloved brother Hamza Abdul Razak was given the khutbah of Germantown by the permission of Allah. And may Allah make his journeys, his travel back to where he's going back to.
Ameen.
But they mentioned that the brother asked him. He said, Hamza is giving the khutbah of Germantown, and the brother who came and asked him the question, he was saying, well, he looked at the brother. He said, well, I don't know who he is. So the brother said, SubhanAllah, you don't know who the da'is are, you don't know who the callers are. He said, that let me know where your level is at. Now, the brother, he really felt upset because he came and asked me. He said, is something wrong with my Salafiyya because I didn't know who Hamza Abdul Razak was? So I was telling the brother, don't feel that way. Maybe you wasn't around during the time, but Hamza is one of the graduates. He used to be the Imam of Ahlul Hadith, so forth. If you don't know who he is, it does not question your Salafiyya. And the fact that he felt that pressure, that peer pressure, the fact that that person had that mindset, to belittle his brother, to make him think that because he don't know a certain person or a certain group of people that his Salafiyah is in question.
So what about if you don't know? Do we know all the scholars?
No, it's not a condition.
It's not a condition to know every single scholar on earth, or the Sunnah on earth. It's not even a condition.
The condition is to love them generally, whether we know of them, we don't know of them. The condition is to love them generally. We have a love for Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'at generally. Whether we know them by name or we don't know them
Let's
by
bring
name.
it home.
Whether we met or we didn't.
The brother here, Abu Zayd, introduced me to Muhammad Farqusi, the sheikh that we're doing his book, Distinguished Sounds of Ramadan in the Masjid. I didn't know the sheikh before that. He introduced me to his works. That means that because I didn't know the sheikh, that now my Salafi is a question. I never knew Muhammad Farqusi. SubhanAllah.
It's a controlling mechanism that and it's not necessarily just the people up top. It's the commoners have went around and spread this stuff. He made his brother feel like he was alienated or that he actually stepped away from Salafiyah for just a little bit because he didn't know who a certain da'i was.
SubhanAllah. And the brother actually is going to deal with that next coming up. He says, an allegiance and dissociation from others stemming from affiliation to the group's leader or even followers. Shaykh al-Islam rahimahullah, he said, no one should affiliate themselves to a sheikh, thus making friendship and enemies based on him. The Muslim must show alliance towards every person of Islam known for piety. This includes all scholars. No scholar shown extra loyalty unless he is known for his extra piety and faith. We give precedence to those Allah and His Messenger have. We give superiority to those Allah and His Messenger have given it to or have.
That's clear words from Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. That's clear.
That's clear.
Crystal clear. But how many people follow him?
How many people follow him?
It's crystal clear.
It's crystal clear, Sheikh. Just because the brother didn't know, our brother Abdul Razak, may Allah preserve him, how's the Salafiyah question not knowing a da'i? Because they have made a group. A code has been made, and things have been made, and these
characteristics
have been made.
Displayed. These characteristics
have been displayed.
And that we hope that we all can be free from it and not fall into it. Just don't think because Allah exposed you to the truth, you have to still ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to protect you, not to go away from the truth.
Check yourself
as Allah Jalla wa Ala tells us the dua in Surah Al-Imran, رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. Our Lord, do not let us go astray. Do not let us go astray. Do not let us, لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا. Do not let our hearts go astray after you have guided us. You got to constantly make dua. Just like Ibrahim made dua that Allah protect him and his progeny from shirk. You have to constantly make dua that Allah make you thabit upon the deen. Don't think because Allah exposed you to the truth and that today you're rallying for Dawat al-Salafiyah is that you're going to die upon Dawat al-Salafiyah. I don't mean that. What it means, you have to ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to allow you to die upon Salafiyah, to allow you to die upon adhere to it by closely always making dua. This is extremely important. We see that the Prophet will say what? Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Oh, the turn of the hearts, make my heart firm upon your religion. Oh Allah, make my heart firm upon your religion. The dua of Yusuf alayhi salam, when he would make the dua, oh Allah, tawaffana muslimin. Oh Allah, allow us to die as Muslims. This is extremely important. This is extremely important that we have to remember to make dua. Just because you are exposed to Dawat al-Salafiyah does not mean you are safe. We don't have the savior complex. As our elder Abdullah Abu Talib, Abdullah Talib Abdullah, Afwan, maybe forgive me for messing his name, Talib Abdullah made a statement in his clippers that he mentioned that we don't have the savior complex, meaning that anyone except Jesus Christ, he's just automatically saved. Anyone except Salafiyah, he is automatically just saved. It don't work that way.
So we're not the Marvel DC complex.
Yeah, no, it just don't work like that. You have to ask Allah to make you firm. And one thing I want to mention before I stop, no scholar is shown extra loyalty. If Shaykh Islam Taymiyyah is saying this about a scholar, how more so a beginning student of knowledge?
SubhanAllah.
You don't show allegiance or loyalty to anyone more than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what we have to get back to. Let's get back to Qala Allah.
Qala Rasulullah.
Qala Rasulullah. Allah said it, His Messenger said.
And the Sahaba implemented it a certain way.
That's it. Let's get back to reading their biographies.
Yeah.
Being more impressed with them than anyone else. By the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala. We might not have a lot of time to do the whole thing. We'll probably read one more statement, inshallah. May the brother forgive us if we wasn't able to go over it in detail, but inshallah ta'ala we'll finish at the one more statement, inshallah.
So now the brother's going to bring the ayat And in a statement of the Prophet ﷺ that backs up what he just said, that we don't show extra allegiance to somebody because of who he is and what he is. He says, "Oh mankind." Sorry if we didn't return the salams to other people, but we were just reading and talking. But walaikum salam barakatuh, and welcome. "O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes, that you may know one another. Verily, the most honorable of you with Allah is that believer who has taqwa, one of the muttaqun. Verily, Allah is all-knowing, all-aware." And the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "No Arab is superior to a non-Arab, and a non-Arab isn't superior to an Arab. A black man is not superior to a white man, and vice versa, except through taqwa."
And this one we was able to bring today, alhamdulillah. Stay tuned for part 2 of chapter 4. We're going to some more of the brother research. May Allah reward him for this research. Again, we want to make as a disclaimer, if you find in yourself that you're applying what we're saying to a certain group of people, or people are coming up in your mind, then that's what you. And that's what you see in those characteristics. But do not say, for example, that me and the brother Isa have done this project to attack anyone. We have not done this project to attack anyone, especially not to attack our brothers. But we did do it to attack the characteristics so that none of us can fall into it. Mm-hmm. And remember the dua, رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. Our Lord, do not allow us to go astray, our hearts to go astray after you guided us.
And the last statement is something that we say as Americans: the shoe fits weird. If it does, then change your shoes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.